Let's talk about London Humphreys. We already talked about Will Shepherd. Why are we talking about London Humphreys? Well, I mean, the rumor is Georgia that he's probably going to end up there. I mean, who knows? By the time this video comes out, he might already be committed there. Yeah, he's just an explosive player with very good size, 6'3", 190. And if you look at his box score, it's not like the most impressive thing ever. But if you watch him, man, like he's explosive after the catch, and he's got the size, and he's got the traits. He's an athlete. He was a track star in high school. I really like him as a
Well,
player. There's a reason why he's so highly rated and so highly sought after.
what's interesting about that is yes, the stats aren't there, but you mentioned the athleticism is what everyone's drawn to. Like, yes, his track times are crazy good. He ran a 10-3 at 6'3" in high school, right? But he was actually a baseball player at the same time. Like he ran that mark after coming from a baseball game and showing up and running that. Like he's a freak of nature athlete. How does this guy slip through the cracks and end up at Vanderbilt? Who knows? If I was him, to be honest, I would stay there for 2 more years. I'd ball out. And if the NFL is calling your name, you go there. And if not, you have a Vanderbilt degree and you can go transfer somebody somewhere else. But I think he talked about it. He wants to be developed at an elite level because he has the size, speed, weight, athleticism that you that scouts just dream and drool over.
Yeah, and Kentucky's another school that I believe is interested in him. Of course, there's more schools than that, right? But the key rumor he did visit Athens, I believe. The rumor is that he's going to be at Georgia. So I guess it's not good to necessarily counter chickens before they hatch. But what kind of production do you see London Humphreys adding to this Georgia offense, or what does he add? What does he add to that offense?
Um, if Lad McConkey ends up in the NFL, like he's an elite run after the catch kind of guy, right? And you're obviously losing Brock Bowers, another run after the catch guy. He's a guy that for 1 year, for year two, right? His second year in college, you're probably gonna have to scheme open stuff for him, and that'll be up to Mike Bobo and staff to do that. Give him the ball in space and let him, run away from guys, which he did against Georgia, right? You saw that they went up seven
Yeah.
nothing. That was all over Twitter. It was London Humphreys, burning Georgia for 45-yard touchdown or whatever it was. There's some talent in that room though, for sure. Arian Smith, the guy that's waited his turn. They got some young guys in there. Rara Thomas, Dominic Lovett, Marcus Rosemy, Jack Saint, I believe, also has eligibility. Um, it's not going to be an easy way, but I think he wants that competition, which he talked about in where he wants to go. He wants to be developed at a pretty elite rate, and then Georgia's done that pretty well. Obviously, haven't had the draft picks to do it, but I would count A.D. Mitchell as development there with Georgia. Lad McConkey, they developed him. Brock Bowers and among others as well. Marcus Roseby. Jack Stain's going to be an NFL guy. Yeah, I think that's a really good spot for him to go to for sure. And you're also competing with elite corners every day in practice, which is if more beneficial, if not as beneficial, or if not more beneficial than playing guys in the SEC on Saturdays in the fall.
So now imagine this, CD. Your name is Clark Lee, and you lose AJ Swan, you lose Ken Seals, you lose Will Shepherd, you lose London Humphreys, and the year before that you lost Ray Davis. What is going through your head right now?
It's frustrating because first of all, they had a down season, right? They were what, 2-10, 18 players that popped in the portal. And that's kind of the reality of Vanderbilt. Like if you have a guy now, the confusing part to me, which if you're Clark Lee, you have to lean into, is keeping guys as underclassmen. Like let them graduate. Like that's got to be your key because like you can't sell NIL, you can't sell success on the field, and really NFL players in general. I mean, you had some guys go, but not as much as anybody else you're going to be recruiting against. It's got to be that Vanderbilt degree, which is huge, and it's obviously a big deal, and it's tough. It's I wouldn't say doom and gloom, but at the same time, like it's hard. It's got to be frustrating because you not only do you see some of your best players leaving, but you also like you have a certain type of recruit and athlete, and more so student that you have to recruit. And obviously that limits some of your prospects you can go after and recruitment and that stuff too, which just makes it all that more harder to replace a guy like London Humphreys and Will Shepherd.
Yeah, but it also, I there's still a chance that they can also just lean into like the portal more, like that might have to be what Vanderbilt just is, lean into the portal because it's a little bit more lenient, I believe. If you're transferring from another college and is, your high school recruit getting into Vanderbilt.
Especially grad transfers too. That's what it's
Yeah,
got to be. Is those 1 year guys you go to Ivies,
rentals.
you get a bunch of 24, 23-year-old men and you play football with those guys and you see what happens. I do think the other thing about this is you're losing London Humphreys, you're losing Will Shepherd, but it's also like Clark Lee and his athletic directors can go to his boosters and be like, we can't compete. We don't have the NIL. And they've seen an uptick in NIL this offseason, which a lot of teams have, sure, but it's helping, I guess. Maybe not this class, but in future classes for sure. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Well, yeah, how do you do that? But real quick, I want to hear your thoughts on Humphreys at Georgia, right? Or wherever he would end up being. Like, you think he's as good as like he's a top 10 transfer in most places. And part of that is because he has 3 years of eligibility, but most of that's because of his talent and his athleticism and his, overall football IQ and whatnot. That's still to be tapped into.
Yeah, like you said, you said you don't know if he fits in right away. I think he does. That's the thing. I think they've seen enough of this kid. I mean, we'll see how he competes in practice, but he'd been competing in practice against DBs that he dusted on Georgia. Like, so I don't know. I think he's got the athleticism. I think he's got the speed. Uh, just a good athlete. I'm rooting for this guy. Obviously, rooting for London, of course. I think he can fit in right away, especially if Ladd goes to the NFL. I think that they could
And
use a guy like him for sure. Now, it's not going to be like he's not going to have the 1,000-yard season likely. Like, guys, that's just not what the Georgia receiving room is, or really has been the last couple of years. But that doesn't mean these guys can't get drafted, or in AD Mitchell's case, right, going to Texas and being a star there. I mean, he can do a lot of good for Georgia. I think he can do a lot of good for Georgia.
well, and with Carson Beck more so likely coming back, he throws a good ball. I think that helps with London Humphrey's decision. Be like, well, I can catch balls from this guy, and be like, okay, yeah, I can benefit from that for sure.
If I can catch balls from Ken Seals, I can catch balls from Carson Beck.
Oh, come on. And Seals was mentioned twice in this episode. Come on.
Vanderbilt legend. Vanderbilt legend.
Vandy legend.
Yeah. I'm real quick. Like, I think AJ Swan isn't terrible. I know he's like, he's going to throw your 2 interceptions a game or whatever that is, but like, you have to do that. Like, what else is he supposed to do? So, like, fans calling for Ken Seals, I think he's crazy because you're not going to win football games with Ken Seals. But
Well,
anyways,
Swan's a young guy too, and also like I think the frustrating part is like you have two guys on your receiving core that are going to be high power five guys that are pretty damn good, and will end up in the
yeah.
NFL one day. Real quick with London though and Georgia, like I don't think this can be understated, right? You mentioned, oh, real quick, I froze up. All right, I'm back. Like you talked about with Ladd McConkey and Brock Powers, if those guys are healthy, are they the difference in the game for Bama and against Bama in the SEC championship game? Like a guy like London Humphreys, he comes next year, like he could be the difference in an outcome in an SEC championship game, in a big time, in season regular season SEC game, or in the playoff game when it comes down to it for Georgia. So like this is a massive get for whoever he ends up at, but it's all likelihood for Georgia. Like it's a big time get.
Hey guys, MD here. Just here to invite you to the Retro Sophomore College Football Bowl pool. The link to join will be in the description down below. The winner, what do they get? A chance to be a guest on the Retro Sophomore podcast, of course. But to qualify for that, you got to make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. So make sure you click that subscribe button down below. When you sign up, all you got to do is just pick a team, right? See here at Miami, Ohio versus App State. This example selected Miami, and they have 12 confidence points on it. I'm going to rate these games 1 to 43, and it's going to be a blast. I can't wait to have you guys on. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Thank you.